The simplest of all waterfalls would be one that fell out of a trough like this. It would come out and then fall down, as this material might represent. In our waterfall drawing, we'll use an isometric like this one shown to represent the trough. Let's look and see how you draw this trough in isometric. You have one side on this angle and one side going back at this angle, and you see the top. So what we have is the tops of the trough, and we have the inside of the trough, which could be the water level also, and then we have the side. Now we'll always see one side, and we'll see the other side, which kind of is going back in perspective one way and another. The thing to remember always is to keep straight where you are and what line you're drawing. For instance, I use a width of this, almost equals the width of that, 2 widths across, which would be 2 widths across here, 1 width here, and 2 widths down. Now that works out. You can make your troughs bigger, smaller, taller, whatever you'd like, or you can change the height and size of them depending upon what you want your drawing to look like. Other things to remember are that when you have an inside corner or a valley, there's a line that shows there. It doesn't show across the bottom of it because that's where the water or the bottom of the trough is. Also, that same valley, when you make a turn, shows up. Or you see a corner, you'll see a line also that's necessary to make it read correctly. And also, when things end up different ways away from you, you have to remember what it looks like and think about, well, I know that there's a little hidden line back here that makes that bottom of the trough, but I only see a little bit of it. I don't see the whole thing. Here I've extended the trough and added another one, so it appears that one is on top of the other or above it. One goes like this, and then it looks like this one's lower. Let me color that in so it looks a little better. Now it looks like there's a liquid flowing from the top trough to the bottom one, and you have a little waterfall. Now where we make this an illusion, it being a drawing, is we add another part to it. Now you have an impossible waterfall. You have the waterfall happening here, but it seems to flow around and back onto itself and come down again. How can this happen? Well, we have to remember that it's a drawing, and because it's a drawing, it's an illusion. And we have 2 parts basically that work. If you look just at that part, it works. You have 2 troughs, one above another, one flows and drops into the other. If you look at this part, it looks fine. You have 3 troughs, and they seem to be flowing at the same level. But because of the way you've drawn it, it looks like one's on top of another at this end. Now let's take this to another level and make it a little more complex with apparent overlapping. I find it's helpful to start with a basic shape of troughs. In other words, kind of a rectangle here to start with. Then build from there. Again, if you just look at this side, not where they connect, the drawing looks like it could happen very easily. It's only when you look at both sides together do you start seeing things that are wrong. Let's take another step. I've completed the second arm and made a little trough with a basin for the waterfall to pour into. Take another step. Now I've extended this one, coming back under this one, apparently, out and made a turn. It comes back, and what appears to be over this trough, but it's really not, and then is lower or appears lower than this one, so the water can flow into it. So it could flow and back down again in a never-ending circle. You can keep adding on and adding on, making it more and more complex, and integrating other impossible drawing techniques to create further impossible illusions in your drawing. I'll add blue for the water to make it a little easier to see. In review, remember that it's easier in drawing one of these to start out with some simple shape to build on. Don't try and think out the whole thing in the beginning or you'll get lost in your lines. Let's go back to this and look and see what really makes it work. Because there are certain things that help support the way you want it to be perceived. For our waterfall, we like to think this is above this. It's up. But it could be just as well side by side. Now if it was side by side, this would not be an impossible drawing. If it's up, it would be impossible because this tends to be in the same plane or flat. So, what makes it work and what things can you add to make the illusion better? By having the water flow out of the trough that we want to be above the other one, your eye takes that information, adds it to what it has, and tends to go to perceiving it so that one trough is above the other. Just as the verticalness of the waterfall flows into the bottom trough and leads your eye in that perception, connecting the two structures can also make your eye feel that one trough is on top of the other. Due to the complexity of these drawings, it's helpful to have a sheet of guidelines which you can place under the sheet you're going to draw on. This helps you get the angles correct, and you can also use the guidelines for measurement so you get your sizes correct. Now you try one. Build it into a city, or maybe some landscape scene with water flowing around. It'd be impossible.